Hi, these comments are for SD. I am Michael from OTCOnline So today, in this particular video, I'm going to listen to two different voice recordings that you submitted yesterday. So you're working on improving your pronunciation, your delivery, and also I'm going to listen to two integrated speaking practice tests that you submitted. So right now you're stuck at 25 on the TOEFL IBT exam. You have a TOEFL test coming up in a few weeks, and I'm going to continue to support you and give you the feedback that you need so that you can get ready for your upcoming TOEFL exam. Now remember that any suggestions I make in the video, it's important for you to study those particular lessons, or you're just going to make the same mistakes over and over and over and over. In this pronunciation exercise, you're focusing on the ah and the ah. Ah, ah. So you're doing a voice recording on reading these specific sentences. And I'm going to give you feedback on everything that matters when it comes to your TOEFL speaking here, including your blending, your thought groups, your tone, and the pronunciation of the targeted vowel sounds in the lesson.
Stan told Dad that he couldn't hand in his bad plan since it was poorly organized.
Since it was too poorly organized. And it was pretty good on you said Stan told Dad that he could not hand in his bad plan since it was too poorly organized.
A well-written magazine can be the answer for some readers in that it acts as an accomplished sanctuary.
No, too many pauses in there. No, you pause after readers, right? So can be the answer for some readers in that it acts as an accomplished sanctuary, which helps them to concentrate on those issues that matter most. This is where you get caught up on your TOEFL speaking when you're talking about other people's ideas. But you want to say, in that it acts, notice, in that it acts as an accomplished sanctuary, and that it acts as an accomplished sanctuary,
which helps them to concentrate on those issues that matter most. Fire management offers prescribed burning as a solution so that
now your tone needs to go up after solution because you're pausing before the thought group, right? So fire management offers prescribed burning. Fire management offers prescribed burning as a solution so that the habitats within the burn areas do not have a natural wildfire which burns too hot.
the habitats within the burn areas don't have a natural wildfire which burns too hot.
Okay?
Graduate cognitive psychology programs study phenomena and
Now you need to pronounce programs with more air. Programs.
other problems after which
Better on the problems
practical
there.
applications are modeled, some of which are based on many aspects of real life. Authorities in Kansas processed competent
No, it's processed. So authorities in Kansas process competent rations, or they process competent rations on a farm project designed along with the emergency alert system for their tornado victims.
rations on a farm project designed along with the emergency alert system for the tornado victims.
Okay, I think the one thing I want you to work on when you do the next recordings is at the end of the thought group, if it's not the last thought group in the sentence, I want you to slightly raise your tone. Then when you get to the end of the sentence, you want to drop your tone. So if I read the last sentence, I would say, authorities in Kansas process competent rations on a farm project designed along with the emergency alert system for their tornado victims. So basically, I pause after project and then right near the end of the sentence. Now, if you say, well, Michael, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe that thought group is too big for you. So how would you do it? Let me think about it. You might say, authorities in Kansas process competent rations on a farm project designed along with the emergency alert system for the tornado victims. So maybe you could do it that way if 7 stress words is too big of a thought group for you. So you still need to work on the blending, for example, number two, and that it acts as an accomplished sanctuary. So it's all those little bitty words in that it acts as an accomplished sanctuary. That's where you're having trouble. When you're blending, you have, for example, acts, which is a verb. Then you have it looks like a preposition. It acts as an accomplished sanctuary. That blending area is where you definitely can work on making some improvements. You're also practicing these two specific vowel sounds in the paragraph. I'm going to listen and monitor your pronunciation here also.
Due to the 3 minutes of violent shaking, landslides in Anchorage caused heavy damage.
Okay, that was better. I like your tone did slightly go up after shaking, so that's good.
Huge slides occurred in the downtown business section at Government Hill and at Turnagain Heights. The largest and most devastating landslide occurred at Turnagain Heights. An area of about 130 acres was devastated
No, acres, acres. An area of about 130 acres was
by
devastated.
displacements that broke the ground, and most devastating landslide occurred at Turnagain Heights. An
And when you say that word turn again heights, be careful about the T and the D consonant sounds. In this case, turn again heights.
area of about 130 acres was devastated by displacements that broke the ground into many dearranged blocks that were collapsed and titled at all angles.
That were collapsed and tilted at all angles, not angels, right? But you'll see, if you read this one again, you'll say you had a lot of trouble with this sentence. An area of about 130 acres was devastated by displacements that broke the ground into many deranged blocks that were collapsed and tilted at all angles. Notice, tilted at all angles. Again, the blending, that were collapsed and tilted at all angles.
This slide destroyed about 75 private houses, water mains, and gas, sewer, telephone,
Now, you need to say 75 private houses. Your tone should drop after houses to tell your audience you're done with that particular sentence.
and electrical systems were disrupted throughout the area. I feel that after I read this article, I should work for CNN or something.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, because you're getting better, but you got to do a little bit better with the tone and I think with the blending, right? So let's look at this again. I'll read it one more time for you. It says, due to the 3 minutes of violent shaking, landslides in Anchorage caused heavy damage. Huge slides occurred in the downtown business section at Government Hill and at Turnagain Heights. The largest and most devastating landslide occurred at Turnagain Heights. An area of about 130 acres was devastated by displacements that broke the ground into many deranged blocks that were collapsed and tilted at all angles. This slide destroyed about 75 private houses. Water mains and gas, sewer, telephone, and electrical systems were disrupted throughout the area. So that's kind of how I would read that. So I think as you do your practice, I want you to go through this paragraph one more time until you have a little bit more natural tone and natural blending. I'm now going to listen to the first integrated speaking practice test that you sent me. I have your recording on the right. I have the IBT integrated speaking rubrics on the left. And let's see how you did. So I'm going to listen to the whole thing one time without making any comments, and then I'm going to try to give you an estimated score. We'll listen to it again, and I'll provide more specific feedback.
According to the reading, the university should remove all of the phones from the students' dormitories. This is because students have their own cell phones with them and they will be able to save more money by doing so. However, the woman in the listening rejects each reason stated in this announcement. First of all, she mentions that it's a good idea to have both because the service in the university isn't reliable, maybe because of the hills in the university, and it's a good idea to have a backup phone just in case if one of the phones does not work. Secondly, according to the woman, students will not pay a lot of money for using the phone inside the university because usually students pay whenever they make a phone call, and they can avoid this by not using the phone inside the university as much as they can. And that's why the woman doesn't agree with the change that the university should remove the phones from the university.
Okay, it's close to 26, but maybe not quite. I'm going to say 24 to 26. I think around 34 to 36 seconds, you kind of fell off the wagon, so to speak, and you had some problems in there. So I'm going to see if that's enough. I'm going to listen to it one more time. So I think that your delivery is very clear, no major problems there. You had minor lapses, minor difficulties. Pace may vary. I think you had a little bit of trouble with that. I'm going to go to minor difficulties with pronunciation, tone, or pacing. I think in the 3 range more, but let's listen to it one more time.
According to the reading, the university should remove all of the phones from the students' dormitories. This is because
Just say because. Why say this is because? Combine those two sentences to create a complex sentence. Right? So they need to remove all the phones from the university dormitories because
students have their own cell phones with them and they will be able to save more money by doing so. However, the woman in the listening
so I would say and because students have their own cell phones and because the university can save money without having to install those phone lines.
rejects each reason stated in this announcement.
Good. I like how you just used one verb there. Rejects. Exactly. Denies or rejects. Either way is fine. Or even disagrees.
First of all, she mentions that it's a good idea to have both because the service in the university isn't reliable. Maybe
Instead of saying both, it's a good idea to have landline phones and cell phones.
because of the hills in the university, and it's a good idea to have a backup phone.
So I think you have to balance that with the two dependent clauses. Let me listen to this one more time.
That it's a good idea to have both because the service in the university isn't reliable, maybe because of the hills in the university, and it's a good idea to have a
I would just say, and because of the health, and because it's essential to have a backup phone in the university dorms in case of emergencies or something.
backup phone just in case if one of the phones does not work. Secondly,
So maybe the parallelism there wasn't quite perfect.
according to the woman, students will not pay a lot of money for using the phone inside the university because usually students pay whenever they make a
When you say pay, you need to pronounce that P with more
phone
aspiration.
call, and they can avoid this by not using the phone inside the university as much as they can. And that's why the woman doesn't agree with the change that the university should remove the phones from the university. According to the reading,
No, and that's why the woman disagrees with this change in policy regarding phones. You could probably just end it like that. Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. You're just so close to that area there. I think you did have some pacing issues. You had some language use issues, maybe with parallelism. So I'm going to put you at about 24 to 26 points. I think you might get the 26, but the speechwriter is going to listen to it. The speechwriter might have some problems with some of your pacing and some of the grammar that you use in your response. Let's see how you're doing with the final integrated speaking practice test that you sent me. So this one's integrated speaking number 4, listening, speaking, academic. So we got some very difficult content you're trying to explain here. Let's see if at least one of these I can give you a 4. I want to give you a 4 on this thing. Let's see if you can do it. Okay, let's listen to the whole thing once.
the professor explains 2 ways that photography affected painting. And the first one, painters start to use tools to help them to paint their painting in more realistic way. By using the camera, painters start to paint horses in the exact position. For example, the professor explains on this by using the camera, painters start to capture the legs of the horses while they are running in the exact position while they are in the middle of the air. Secondly, according to the speaker, painters start to paint their
You got
paintings
pacing issues,
in
my friend.
unreal way and they start to imagine their paintings. For example, the professor explains on this by mentioning that some painters start to paint some people's skin as a green color, which is unusual and imaginative for most of the people. And these two ways that photography affects. The professor explains.
No, you got pacing. You had a lot of pacing issues here. Not very natural pacing. You had some disruptions in the sentences that you were speaking, which kind of makes it a little bit difficult to concentrate on your ideas. So I don't think you made it on this one. Let's listen to it one more time. The P, I want you to master that sound. This sound is killing you. The P. Painting, painting, paints, painting. The key is you have to have a lot of air that comes out of your mouth when you produce the sound, which is why we refer to it in linguistics as a bilabial consonant. Right? Painting. Okay, here we go
Two
one more
ways
time.
that photography affected painting. And the first one.
Notice you said the way it affected painting, but I'm saying paintings. I would say paintings, not just painting.
Painters start to use tools to help them to paint their painting in more realistic way.
Now, are you using present or past there? Let's see.
That photography affected painting. And the first one, painters start to use tools to help them to paint their painting in more realistic way.
Now, if it's past tense that you mean here, you want to say they started using certain tools, blah, blah, blah. Or they are starting to use. So if you want present tense, the infinitive works better. If you want to say past tense, the gerund's going to work better because it refers more to a completed action.
Using the camera, painters start to paint horses in the exact position. For example, the professor explains on this by using the camera, painters start to capture the legs of the horses while they are
by using cameras, painters start to capture the legs, blah, blah, blah.
running in the exact position while they are in the middle of the air.
While they're in the middle of the air, not while they are in the middle of the. No, it's while they're in the middle of the air.
Secondly, according to the speaker, painters start to paint their paintings in unreal way and they start to imagine.
I would say in an unrealistic way. Probably better.
Their paintings. For example, the professor explains on this by mentioning that some painters start to paint some people's skin as a green color, which is unusual and imaginative for most of the people. And these two ways that photography affects. The prof.
Yeah, I think it's around 3.0 to 3.5. I'm going to say this is probably around 23 to 24 points. I think you had quite a few pacing issues in there as you were trying to explain the information, and it's a little distracting with that P. Unfortunately, this particular lecture involved a lot of words beginning with P, and that you weren't really pronouncing that clearly. So I think pacing and then the articulation of certain vowel or consonant sounds kind of bring down your score a bit. So I'm going to say 23 to 24 on your integrated task 4 that you just submitted to me. Okay, so what do you do here? This is tough. I do have some time. I mean, right before your TOEFL, I suggest that you do some TOEFL private lessons where I can help you a little bit more with your language use, even your pronunciation. This week I'm too busy, forget it. But next week I do have some free time to help you. Usually Fridays and Saturdays are actually pretty good. So if you want to book some TOEFL private lessons, I'll be more than willing to help you on those 2 days. I know that your test is coming up, and I'd like to help you a little bit with your pronunciation and also to help you with your language use and your overall delivery of the integrated speaking task that you are completing. All right, thank you for doing this practice exercise.